صباح الخير. طبعا زي ما انتم شايفين احنا الساعة 11 بالظبط، والنهاردة الميتنج قصير ساعة واحدة، فاحنا بس هنستنى دقيقتين بالظبط وبعدين نبدأ على طول إن شاء الله. Sebastian will wait just for a couple of minutes because people are still joining, and then we can start immediately after. Okay?
That's perfect.
صباح الخير مرة تانية لكل السادة الحضور. شكرا لمشاركتكم النهاردة معانا في ال information session للتدريب اللي على ال high performance sales. طبعا النهاردة السيشن هتبقى كلها بالإنجليزي، لأنه التدريب كمان هيكون كله بالإنجليزي. أنا بس حبيت يعني أرحب بالناس اللي أول مرة يشاركونا في أي تدريب أو سيشن لمشروع جي تكس مينا تكس في مصر. المشروع ده سريعا، أنا مش هاخد وقت علشان إحنا عندنا وقت قليل النهاردة. ده مشروع جي تكس مينا تكس بيتنفذ من ITC اللي هو مركز التجارة الدولية، وده مشروع مدعم من حكومتي سويسرا والسويد، وده جزء من التدريبات. أنا عارفة النهاردة في ناس مشاركينا مش مشاركين أصلا في المشروع، ولكن احنا بنرحب بيهم، ونحب طبعا نرحب بيهم كمان في إن هم يشاركوا معانا في التدريب بعد كده. To you, Sebastian, you can start immediately. We have still people joining, but we need to start on time. So to you, Sebastian.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Yasmin, and sabah al khair to everyone. My name is Sebastian Ioannidis McCall. I work for ITC, and I've been working for the ITC for about 18 years now. And my specialty is marketing, branding, e-commerce, and one component of that is sales. And I'm in charge of a program in ITC called High Performance Sales. Effectively negotiate, sell, and influence your buyers. It's a training and coaching program for effective face-to-face and virtual B2b meetings. And I'm very pleased actually to see so many people actually joining this session today, and I'm sure you'll be very much interested in the content of it. It's a very different approach from what we normally see, because there's also a lot of psychology embedded into this training program. So here we have basically three objectives for this program. The first one is to develop your sales skills and allowing you to negotiate not from a positional perspective, but from a win-win perspective. Everybody has to win in the game. There must not be a loser, there must not be a winner. Everybody has to win. And this is one of the prerequisites for long-time relationships. And also for sellers to develop lasting business relationships. So this is why interest-based or win-win negotiation skills are very important here. The second objective is to be to be able to use practical tools to build a strong brand and digital presence and effectively prepare for B2B meetings, trade events, and B2B e-commerce sales activities. So we will try to cover different types of sales activities, be it B2B meetings, one-to-one, face-to-face meetings, trade events, physical trade events, trade fairs and trade shows, and also virtual ones. And we had to adapt the program because nowadays we have more and more such virtual programs, which are not very convenient, I have to say, for multiple reasons, which I will explain actually later. And the third objective is for you to be able to identify the cultural differences between your culture and the opposing culture. And I put it between quotes because there's no opposing culture. It's just there are differences. And so that you can optimize your chances of success. You just need a gesture that is misunderstood, a word that is for you normal, but for the other one, which could be insulting, and then the relationship can actually be broken. So understanding the culture, the norms, the way people behave in general, the codes, the norms of your counterpart will be actually extremely important, and we'll be able to cover a few cultures. So the ultimate objective at the end of the day, this is a very practical program, is for you to change your behavior and your behavior at work. It's not just a training program or a workshop where, let's say, I speak for some good hours and then everybody goes home and goes back to his or her normality. The objective of this program is really for you to be able to use in a real setting all the elements, all the learning that we'll be actually going through together. So it's very practical. And at the end of the day, the ultimate objective is for you to increase your revenues and profits. I said at the beginning that it is a very unique program in the sense that, first of all, it's a blended learning program. So there are obviously face-to-face trainings, which are extremely important for practice, but also we have developed some e-learning modules where it will be actually instructor-led in the sense that you will be connected and me and a colleague will actually be online, and we will walk you through some introductory modules at the beginning of this program. This learning platform will also contain all the materials that we'll be going through together, so into a central place, and will add many resources that could be of use to you. Unique in the sense that it has a balanced mix between theory and practice. So about, let's say, 40-50% of theory and 50 to 60% of practice. So we aim for it to be actually very practical, especially with the face-to-face modules, where we'll be able to play some role plays, some games, and we'll be able to put into practice all the learnings. Also includes 2 hours of individual coaching. And the third element that makes this program unique is that the concept and the tools are actually borrowed from the best. First one being Harvard Law School, in the sense that, and you'll be seeing just in a few seconds, we are using a simulation, an online simulation, serious game called Merchants, and it's based on Harvard's theories on negotiations and conflict management. And even the theoretical modules that we'll be deploying throughout this program are based actually on those learnings. Needless to say that Harvard actually has come up with the best theories in that field. The second partner that we have is GameLearn. It's the #1 partner, it's the #1 player in the world in terms of business serious games. They have a wide range of games on negotiation and conflict management, on active listening, on body language, on persuasion and influencing skills. They have about 30 to 40 games altogether, and it's really the #1 player in this field. Another partner that we have is Insead, one of the top-notch business schools in the world. It's a French one, based in Paris. And we've partnered with them actually for a survey or for a tool, a communication tool, whereby we'll be able to assess your communication style. And based on your communication style, we'll be able to guide you in terms of how you can fix some issues and how you can best adapt to people who have a different communication style than yours. And the last partner is a French company, not very well known because they really are into a niche market. It's called Actios, and for us, this is actually the number one player in the field of cultures, in the sense that they have a database of 80 countries or 80 cultures. Will be able to grant you an access of 1 year, and you'll be able to compare your own culture or even your own profile with other cultures, be it the US culture, the French culture, the Swedish culture. So they have a database of 80 cultures, and you'll be able to compare your profile, which will be across 10 dimensions, with a profile of those cultures across those 10 dimensions. So now, in terms of structure and content of this program, here's the journey. The first part is actually the registration. So today it's just an introductory session. So there will be a registration whereby you will have to formally register, and you will have to fill out, as part of the requirements, you will have to fill out 2 surveys. The first one being what we call the communication style survey. So I've just talked about it. This is why we have a partnership with Insead. So you have to fill it out at the beginning of the program as a prerequisite to enter the program. And there's another survey you'll have to fill out, which is the cultural profile. We'll give you the results of those 2 profiles just before the modules, but we want actually those 2 to be filled out in order for you to be able to participate into the program. Then we move on to module 1, which is an online simulation on negotiation skills and conflict management. This is a tool which comes from this company called GameLearn, and it is based actually on the concepts of Harvard School of Law. It's just a totally amazing simulation, very much fun, very playful, but at the same time you learn quite a lot. And I will show you actually a video just afterwards, a 3-minute video that will guide you through the logic of this simulation. Module 2 is titled Defining an Impactful and Sellable Value Proposition and Sales Pitch. Of course, we are going to start this program with some more strategic elements. You cannot just sell without having a strategy. I like to give this analogy in the sense that you have to think of a business as a house. The foundations of the house are actually the strategy. If the foundations are not good, whatever walls, whatever house or building you build on top of those foundations, they will not last for very long. This is why we need actually to give you some advanced elements, although online, some advanced elements about what we consider as value proposition and a sales pitch. We have our own methodologies that we have developed internally to ITC, although many of those concepts also come from Harvard. Once the foundations are laid, then we can move on to the more practical side of this program, the negotiation and the sales part. So module 3 is about negotiating and selling like the pros or like the professionals. Module 4 is about getting ready for physical and virtual B2b meetings and trade events. And module 5 is about cross-cultural negotiation, and we'll be able to see 2 to 3 cultures of interest to you as part of this project. So module 1 and module 2 will be done fully online, and module 3, 4, and 5, these will be face-to-face modules, and there will also be some small online activities for you to be able to refresh your mind in between 2 modules. Now let me go into the depth of this journey. So the registration process, it will take you about 2 hours to go through the registration process. And I'm very sorry because it's quite long indeed, but we really need those elements before we start this program. However, you have 2 weeks to fill out the 2 surveys. The first one I mentioned to you, the 3 surveys. The first one is the online registration form. It takes about 10 minutes for you to fill it out. Second one being the communication preference style survey, which takes about 90 minutes. So it's quite long, but you can do it in multiple times, so there's no problem, depending on your availability. And then you have the third one, which is the cultural survey, which is about 15 minutes. There's a fourth requirement, which is for you to send us a letter. We'll give you a template, a commitment letter signed by your manager, or if you are the manager, you have to sign it yourself. It's just to make sure that the people actually who enter into this program will be authorized by their manager to be released from work during the dates of the program. So basically only the candidates who fulfill the requirements will be able to enter the program. But you have more information into the description document that Yasmin has actually sent to you before. Now, in terms of module 1, going into the details of it. So this is the simulation called Merchants. So it's a simulation on negotiation skills and conflict management. And throughout this simulation that lasts about 8 hours that you can allocate the way you want across the 2 weeks that is available for this situation, you'll be seeing multiple things. The fundamentals of negotiation, the keys to building trust, which is the #1 requirement, how to avoid the common mistakes of negotiation, how to the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. For example, you have a solution, but if that solution doesn't work, you need to have a backup plan. How do you design this backup plan in order for you to exit a negotiation without much damage to your business? The fifth point is about the strategies to obtain information. It's absolutely key for you to collect information, and there are techniques to do that, which we will also see in module 3. Then determining objectives and clarifying interest. So by questioning and by trying to understand the interest of your opposing party, you'll be able to propose an adequate solution to a problem or to a negotiation. Focusing on interests against versus positions. So as I said to you before, when you are into a interest-based setting, you're into a win-win type of mentality. Everybody has to win. If you're into a position-based type of setting, it means that someone wins and someone loses. And this is usually not kind of a long-term perspective. So you really need to try to understand the other and try to meet the other's interest as much as your own interest. Then there will be something called magic variables that we'll try to cover. And magic variables are basically those elements of the negotiation which do not cost you anything, but which are of a tremendous value for the opposing party. How to use anchor points to satisfy your interests, managing variables during the bargaining phase, the 6 essential rules to negotiation, and employing objective criteria and procedures. An objective criterion is something that no one can argue against. No one can tell you no, because this is so true and so verifiable that your position is actually very strong. So we'll teach you also through the simulation how to leverage this kind of variables. So as I mentioned to you, this simulation is 8 hours for you to freely allocate across the 2-week period of the simulation. Now let me show you a little trailer about the simulation, and I just hope that you'll be able to see and to hear the video. And tell me if you have issues.
Become a 15th century Venetian merchant and build a maritime trading empire.
Can you hear?
Travel to ancient Venice and meet Leonardo da Vinci and Machiavelli. Negotiate funding. Hire sailors to help you on your adventures. Meet with Genoese diplomats and share shipping lanes. Even hold secret negotiations with the Papal States emissary on invading Florence. How you handle negotiations determines the wealth at your disposal to acquire ships and establish lucrative trade routes. Compete to be the most successful merchant and build the largest palace in Venice. The great Lucio Ricci mentors you throughout this thrilling adventure. His lessons are packed with the content of a comprehensive negotiation course and help you overcome the challenges you'll have to face. Learn negotiation tactics that you can apply in your personal and professional life. With the most advanced negotiation simulator in the market, Da Vinci, Machiavelli, and many more await you in Renaissance Venice to help you learn negotiating skills that are vital throughout your life. Are you ready to learn?
So voila, I hope you've managed to see the video and to hear the person talking. So now in terms of module 2, which is fully online. So this one will be comprised of 6 sessions of 3 hours each. And the period will be 3 weeks. And basically there will be 2 online sessions every week over a period of 3 weeks. So the first session will be telling you about ITC's business management BMS, business management competitiveness model called the BMS. And we've been using it for over 20 years now. And it comes actually, as I mentioned to you, most of the concepts come from from Harvard. And we've just remastered the different concepts and we've built on top of it in order to come up with a very comprehensive methodology. Second module is about the business idea and the art of being different. Obviously, if you sell the same thing as your competitors, at the end of the day, you'll be negotiating based on price because your buyer will tell you, look, there is someone next door who sells basically the same thing. So we'll have to consider the price and you'll have to reduce your price. However, if you are different, but different in the sense that you meet your customers' needs better than the competition while being different and bringing value, therefore you will not be able to fight on price. You'll be able to fight on value in this case, and you'll be able to defend actually your pricing position. So there will be 2 parts in that, session 2 and session 3. And we'll also teach you some elements in terms of how to generate some ideas, what we call ideation or creativity. The 4th one will kind of pack all those concepts together into what we call the value proposition. And then we will see in session 5 and 6 the sales pitch and different versions of sales pitch and different methodologies of how to build a sales pitch. One of those methodologies, which is very much used in business, is called the Disney or the Pixar sales pitch. So it's 6 online sessions, 3 hours each over a period of 3 weeks. You will also have online up to 2 hours of pre-recorded videos to watch during your free time until the end of this module 2. And there will be some online activities, some little games, some forums, some questions, just for you to keep going with the program. Moving now to module 3. This one is a face-to-face module, and it's called Selling and Negotiating Like the Pros. It's a very passionate module in the sense that it's packed with psychology, and it's really understanding how the human being is actually wired and how we can best actually negotiate, sell, some people may say manipulate others in order to be able to come to your end. So the first theme is the elite sales process and the art of closing the sale. Far too often, buyers, they try to start they start the selling process by negotiating the price. So basically they start from the end, and then they put you in such a position that you are not able to listen to his or her needs and defend your position and propose a solution that meets his or her needs. And instead you'll be talking about the price. So here we would propose to you a powerful sales process with a certain sequence of actions. And if, for example, the buyer is trying to change the sequence of actions or activities or steps within that process, we'll give you some tips on how to get back into this process the way we want it, and how to take control of the sales process, which is extremely important. So this is what we call a framework for sales excellence. we'll spend actually some time on building a personal relationship with your buyers. Very important is to create a bond, to create a personal relationship, to play on the emotional side of the relationship. Not everything is functional in this world. Not everything is technical, but we have to understand that a lot of what is happening in negotiations, in real negotiations, is at a more deeper level, at an emotional level. And this is very important to create this bond with the other one, because it will be much more difficult for the other person basically to depart from you and to ask you for things which are not reasonable. We'll be seeing also what we call the 5 C's of selling. Credibility. You have to build your credibility. You have to build confidence that the other one has to trust in you. Certainty of the need. You have to be sure that you really understand what your counterpart actually wants. And this is related to the simulation that we've seen before. The 4th C of conviction. So basically it's proposing the solution that meets his or her needs. So you are convinced that this is the right solution for his or her needs. And then the closing part. And so we'll be seeing some methods on how to close a sale effectively. The second theme is the negotiation process and responding effectively to sales objections. So we'll first be seeing a 3-stage process, which is the before the sales or before the negotiation happens, during the sales or during the negotiation, where you have the bargaining and the exchange of information going on. And then we'll be seeing what's going on after the negotiation, which is equally important. If you have also during the negotiation process, you have to start high, you have to start low, you have to start first, do you have to start second? So we'll give you some tips for you to be able to best decide. And then we'll be covering a wealth of objections and how to best answer to those objections. It's also about taking control of the sales process by answering objections properly. The third theme is about communicating with all types of profiles. What you've done during the selection process or the registration process is to fill out what we call the Communication Preference Styles Survey, or CPSS. You can see that actually on the right hand side. You basically have 4 profiles. Profile 1, which is the rational one, Profile 2, which is the structured one, Profile 3, the expressive one, and Profile 4, which is the visual one. And we'll give you, just before the workshop, your profile sheet, and we'll be able to go through the different elements which are laid on this profile. We'll give you some tips on how to fix some of the issues that you may have and how to best communicate with others. What's important in communication is basically that we speak the same language. If you are a structured person, style 2, and you talk to a visual person, style number 4, then they will not understand each other, because they are on a totally different level, or they speak a different language, they vibrate differently. So you will have basically to understand the profile of that person, the communication profile of that person, and you will have to adapt your own communication profile to his or her profile so that you are actually aligned. So in this theme, we'll be describing the 4 communication styles: rational, structured, expressive, and visual. We'll be analyzing your results, as I mentioned to you, and there will be a big focus on body language and nonverbal communications. You have to know that in communication, studies have shown, although the numbers have evolved a little bit across time in the span of 30-40 years, nonverbal communication accounts for 93% of the communication, meaning that 7% of the communication is words. The rest is nonverbal communication. So it is extremely important to really put a strong emphasis on that, for you to control yourself and for you to understand the signals that the other person sends you. But all this is done at a subconscious level, and you need to bring it to your consciousness in order to be able to be in control of the process. Then, continuing with this module, there is a mind-blowing part which is on persuading and influencing your buyers, a psychological approach. This he will be laying actually 7 principles from the guru of persuasion. He has done a wealth of research. He's a doctor. He's called Dr. Robert Cialdini. He wrote a lot of books about persuasion and influencing skills. And basically he came up with 6 principles. The principle of reciprocity, getting others to reciprocate or to be indebted to you. The principle of scarcity, you need to create something rare in order to generate interest and to be valuable. The principle of authority, so if you're an authority, you have a title, you are recognized, or you are using the authority of someone else, you are better placed to convince the others as well. The principle of commitment of consistency, we have a tendency to be, what we say in the past, we have a tendency to be consistent in the present and in the future. So when negotiating with others, it will be important to be able to secure a certain position in advance so that the person cannot contradict him or herself afterwards. The principle of similarity. So as I told you before, when communicating with others, if you're a structured person and you talk to a person who is visual, and it's best for you to adapt your structure style to be a visual person, because in this case, you will be more similar to the other person. And the person will appreciate that, and communication will be enhanced. But there are other techniques in terms of gestures that you can use. You can imitate some of the gestures of your counterpart as well, but in a very subtle manner. There's plenty of studies on that as well. You can use the words of the other person, stories, situations that mimic actually your counterpart. And we'll be seeing some of those techniques. The principle of social proof, it's gaining mass support to convince others. So the more people actually are buying into an idea, the more likely that a person who is maybe not in favor of this idea will be convinced because of the mass. So as part of the selling process, as part of the negotiation process, it will be very important to secure your position in advance, with a kind of mass of opinion. And the principle of unity will be going much deeper into the person being, in the sense that we'll be talking at a value level, for example, or faith level. So it's developing a sense of deep connection with your counterparts. So it's basically an extension of the principle of similarity. This is a 3-day module, face-to-face. You will have as well 2 hours of pre-recorded videos to watch, 60 minutes of online activities, and there will also be a simulation from the same company, GameLearn, on persuasion and influencing skills. Basically putting into practice through this game the 7 principles of Robert Cialdini. And we'll be offering you as well a 60-minute either face-to-face or virtual coaching session, because we would have seen actually a lot of things, and it's good also to recap together on a one-to-one setting the different elements and for us to be able to answer your questions. Now module 4 is called Getting Ready for Physical and Virtual B2B Meetings and Trade Events. The first thing we'll be seeing is branding and storytelling. Obviously, branding is a continuation of the strategic module that we've seen in module 2, and storytelling is also in the continuation of that. It's part of branding, but you will see that there's a strong connection also with a sales pitch. So everything actually follows in a sequence here. It's like building a castle one brick at a time in this program. So we'll be teaching you about the importance of being a brand to exist in the eyes of buyers. If you're not a brand, basically you do not exist. To create a powerful and impactful storytelling to target the hearts of the buyers, you have to know that stories are 2 to 40 times more powerful than facts themselves, because you go at an emotional level. This is why nowadays we hear a lot of stories told by politicians in particular, and even during the pandemic we've heard a lot of stories about what's happening in different hospitals and different places, because what people want is they want to create a shock. The second theme will be digital marketing communication. Again, if you don't have a digital presence, you do not exist anymore. Or at least if you do not have a website, you do not exist. In 4 to 5 years, if you are not on social media, you will not exist. So we'll tell you about the importance of having a digital presence, key elements of a successful website, how to develop a rich media experience through quality photos and videos, how to communicate on social networks, prospecting effectively by email. And a third theme will be physical and virtual B2B meetings. So this is common to both virtual and physical, and we'll make a little distinction for virtual afterwards. So We'll be going through a timeline for each of the steps. We'll be reverse engineering through a case study, a full timeline for your participation into a trade fair or trade show, key information that you need before the meeting, the potential challenges and solutions, typical questions from buyers and how to answer those questions, how to capture leads, follow-up actions, and how to sending samples, which you mostly know. Talking now about virtual B2B meetings, we'll be telling you about the differences between virtual and B2B meetings. Some are obvious and some are less obvious. Best practices for conducting international business virtually. So it's not an easy one. It's usually longer. It's more awkward to do business online. Online presentation skills, how to best present yourself, your company, and your products in a virtual setting. There are some differences with a physical setting. And digital awareness with your peers before a meeting and how to close a sale online. So it will be a one-day physical training. It will be a 3-day physical training workshop. Again, you will have about 2 hours of pre-recorded videos to watch at your free time, during your free time, and 60 minutes of activities on the online platform. And last but not least is what we call it's module 5, cross-cultural negotiation and doing business with specific cultures. So here we'll be giving you the theoretical basis on what is cross-cultural negotiation or intercultural communication and negotiation. So we'll explain what is the concept of culture. We'll go through it's not actually 12, it's 10, a 10-dimensional grid of criteria on how to read cultures according to a certain grid. You see on the right-hand side here, this is the famous grid that I'm talking about. Here, what we have done using the tool from Axios, we have compared actually two cultures, the Turkish culture and the Dutch culture. Here there are 12 dimensions, but on the tool online that we'll be sharing with you, there will be 10 dimensions. So you see, for example, I'm not going into the details of the criteria. If we take this one, the first one, relationship to society, which is hierarchical distance. Is there a hierarchy? As part of the culture, is it a culture which is hierarchical with multiple levels in the society or within the company? Or is it rather a flat culture where we do not make much distinctions between levels? So basically you could have a junior talking to the CEO of a company and contradicting the CEO of the company without any problems. This is very common in Nordic cultures, in Sweden, in the Netherlands, in Norway, in Finland, where you have a kind of a flat type of hierarchy, as opposed to other cultures like Turkey, like Morocco, like Egypt as well, like Saudi Arabia. A lot of the Arabic cultures are mostly hierarchical. And you see here, for example, the Dutch culture in green, it's a very short type of hierarchy. So it's flat, as opposed to the Turkish culture, which is very hierarchical. So imagine if you do not know that, you go to a country and you go with your own norm, and basically you could hurt your counterpart by being too hierarchical or too flat. So you need to understand this difference in order for you to be able to adapt. So here we'll be going through a series of criteria and we'll identify where the gaps will be the bigger, and these will be actually the areas that you will have to fix or to adapt according to situations. We'll be going through as well nonverbal communication between cultures. Some cultures have some specificities. And then for the different countries' profiles that we'll be going through, we'll cover 2 to 3 profiles, including maybe the American profile, but we'll be also covering some 2 other profiles based on what you have answered in the survey and the following survey that we're going to send to you. We'll give you a country overview. We'll talk about the cultural codes in those countries. The business life in terms of management, the meetings, how they happen, the presentations, how communication, how the relationships are handled, negotiations, how people negotiate in those countries as well, the protocol and etiquette. So how to say hello, how to greet, the titles, the form of address, the gestures, the gifts, if you have to give a gift or not, and the value of the gift, the business cards, the clothing, etc., etc., and some 10 golden rules that basically you have to follow. So again, this is a physical training workshop. It's not 2 days here, but it's 3 days. Just note 3 days workshop. All physical workshops are 3 day long. There will be a 60-minute face-to-face or virtual coaching session afterwards, so free to you to take the appointment or not. And there will be some online activities as well, like in the other modules, and a 1-year access to a database of 80 cultures, and you'll be able to compare the Egyptian culture to about 80 other cultures, and you'll be able to see like on the screen with the green and the red color, the differences between your culture and the culture of your counterpart. You can even have your own profile, your own culture to your own self, and compare yourself to others. So this is all, and this is in summary. Just for me to just to make sure of one thing, we have changed the dates a little bit, and we still have to work a little bit on them, because there is the Ramadan, and we're trying to make sure that the program is flows as best as possible despite a long period of break. We didn't want to. We realized that there was a workshop during the Ramadan, but we thought it was actually better to do it before and after the Ramadan, and not during the Ramadan. Just during the Ramadan, there will be some little exercises online for you to keep going and not to lose pace or motivation because of a strong break. So 20th of December to the 12th of January, we'll open the registration process, and you will have to fill out the CPSS, the Communication Style Questionnaire, the cultural profile. You'll have to submit the letter of commitment and to fill out the registration form. So you will have until the 12th of January. We'll tell you by the 19th of January who will be accepted into the program. And then we'll be starting on the 24th of January until the 6th of February, the simulation on negotiation, which is called Merchant. You've seen the video before. Then there will be one element which I noticed, which is not in the registration form, in the document that we sent you. There is a confirmation of your participation, in the sense that those who have not finished the simulation will not be able to continue the program. Normally, it's kind of a low-hanging fruit. It's easy to keep going. So it's just for us to make sure that you are committed into the program. Then you will have module 3, 21st of February to the 1st of May. Then, sorry, module 2 from the 21st of February to the 1st of May. Module 3 from the 10th of May to the 29th of May. Module 4 from the 13th of June to the 10th of July, and module 5 from the 6th of September to the 9th of October. Just for you to keep in mind, and we'll be sending actually an updated file probably on Monday next week with a definite date. So just keep in mind that for timing, it's just a working document. We are just making sure that the dates really fit or do not conflict with other events that we may have in Egypt, and also with some religious holidays or religious days or bank holidays in Egypt. So voila for what I can say about this program, and I've talked actually for quite a long time, and I'm sorry about that. So I hope this has been clear to you, and what I'd like to do now is to open the floor for questions, and I'll be very pleased to answer your questions. Is there any questions? So if there's no questions, it means that you all understood absolutely everything, and I'm very happy about that. So,
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, this is Ayman speaking, Sebastian. How are you doing?
Hi, Eamon. I'm very good, and yourself?
Not bad at all. I just want to ask, do you have a limited number for this course, or what are the criteria that you are going to base your selection on it?
Yes. So we have a selection grid, and we have normally we aim to have about 20 participants, and sometimes we stretch it to about 25. Beyond that, it becomes a little bit challenging, especially if we want to do a lot of practice. So obviously the different criteria are here, and we'll try to balance. We'll try to have in the program. I think there's Yasmin. How many companies are there in the program altogether exactly?
We have 35 companies in total, but for this specific training, we are opening it for more companies as well.
Okay. Yes. So 35 companies and 1 to 2 people per company. Sometimes we accept 3 people, but we'll see that at the end. What you can see here on this agenda is, depending on the number of people into the program, we'll open the program to 2 groups. This is why it's written 2 cities here, 1 to 2 cities. You see it here, 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 and here. So basically, we can take up to about 45 to 50 people all together into the program, and we'll try to balance the populations across 2 cities. At minimum, it will be 25 maximum. At minimum, it will be 25. At maximum, it will be 50 people. It really depends on the demand. So we tried actually to be as flexible as possible, because we know that normally there's a very high demand for this kind of program.
Clear. Thank you.
You're welcome, Eamon. Other questions? Or comments? Or even insults, if you want, no problem.
I think
thank you, Sebastian, for your introduction.
Thanks,
I am Amir Wisa from Bishara. We need you to help and take more than 2 or 3 persons per company, because we are hoping that all our merchandising team gets this nice chance to learn something new. So we are maybe 5 or 6. So s'il vous plaît, s'il vous plaît, s'il vous plaît, try to take us all.
Look, we will try to do our best. In any case, it happened to us to have taken in the past 4 to 5 people. It really depends actually on the demand, how many people register. We try at least to have 1 person per company. Then once we have 1 person per company, we try to see 2 people per company. And sometimes there may not be 2 people, but sometimes some companies may have 3, 4, 5 people. It really depends on the demand. We really have to try to be fair with absolutely everyone. But quite often it happens that for some cities, we may have actually some more room, some more spaces available. So this can only be decided upon registration.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So just to add to what Sebastian was just saying, Amir, it will be important that if you have more than 2 or 3 people that you want them to join from your team, so each of them needs to fill a participation request and do all the procedures that Sebastian explained at the beginning of the session on how to register for the course. So each one individually.
Exactly. Thanks, Yasmin.
Okay. And we had a question on the... Amir, you wanted to say something before I move to the other question?
Thank you. Understood.
Okay, great. We had another question on the chat box from Wael Sharaf about the registration process. So as Sebastian explained, it will be sent again next week. But if you want to just recap again for people who just joined late to the session today, Sebastian?
Okay, so the registration will actually start on the 20th of December. On the 20th of December, Yasmin will send to you all the necessary elements for you to be able to register, with a link to the different surveys. You basically have an email which is extremely well explained. well detailed. So you don't have to do anything now. You'll have to start doing things as of the 20th of December, and then you will have a period of 3 weeks to register and to meet the requirements, which are here in summary, but also which are laid in the Word document that Yasmin sent you before, but we'll resend it to you on the 20th of December. So don't worry for the time being in terms of registration. You don't have anything to do. Everything will be sent to you on the 20th.
And also we'll be sending the recording of the session just in case someone needs to go back to the details that were shared by Sebastian for the training.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
Would like to ask something. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Yes. I would like to ask if you will have many requests, more than 50, for example. You will make a kind of selection after that to have the numbers that you need?
Yes, we will have to make a selection. As I mentioned before, we first start by, since there is 35 companies into the program, we'll first start by having 1 person per company. Then we'll move on to 2 people, then to 3 people. Very often we have people who do not meet the requirements. So by default, they are rejected. And so we try to be fair with absolutely everyone because we're a UN organization, and one of the principles is to try to be fair. So this is why we have to, we are trying to get at least 1 person per company. What we notice in projects is that about 2/3 of the company are, between 50% and 2/3 of the companies are interested in the different programs that we have. So this is why I'm not too worried if we exceed the number of 50 participants in the end, because in terms of statistics, we are quite okay if we do it in 2 cities. So I wouldn't be worried about that, to be frank. And plus, during the program, there will be people who will also be discontinuing the program. So there will be a few people who will actually be leaving. So we always take like 3 or 4 more people into the program in addition to that, because we know that there will be some people leaving in the middle of the program.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think Mr. Sharif, you have a question because you were.
I thank Ahmed Sharif. I am speaking to thank you very much for all information, and we hope to be benefit for us, inshallah.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Shireen Hosni, Executive Director of the Apparel Export Council.
Good morning.
Thank you, Sebastian, for this presentation. I just want to clarify one point. The online sessions will be like videos and pre-recorded videos, or it's going to be like a Zoom or one-to-one, or
the module
or mix of both.
Module 2, this is what we call synchronous type of learning. So it will be on Zoom, and we'll be using different tools, online tools, for brainstorming, some whiteboards and some types of online quizzes and everything in order to make it a bit dynamic. So it's really face-to-face, but online.
Okay. Okay, so it's not a pre-recorded videos or something on a platform that we watch and work on.
No. However, it will be recorded in any case, because it's on Zoom. It will be recorded, but it's a requirement for you to be part of the online sessions because it's dynamic. We do some exercises, and by doing the exercises, you also develop your skills. Otherwise, if it's just recorded, it's basically just learning theories. And theories, when we talk about soft skills like selling skills and this kind of things, it doesn't work at all. So this is why we need to do a lot of practice.
Okay, good. Thank you so much.
However, there are also some pre-recorded videos. You see here on the slide, there's always, like, after each module, there are like 2 hours of pre-recorded videos, up to 2 hours. Sometimes it may be 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. It depends how much we've covered of the different modules. So we always try to give you some compliments on the platform of pre-recorded content, but this comes after the module.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Also would like to ask, will it be in the working time, or it will be usually after the working times?
It will be during the working times, and it's actually it's mentioned in the description document. I think it's indicated that it's from 9 for the online modules, at least. I think, if I remember well, it's from 9 a.m. to midday. As per the physical trainings, those ones will be during the week. So basically, you will have to take some days off from work in order to participate to the trainings. This is why we need a letter of commitment from your CEO, so that he commits to release you from work and for you to be able to go to the training.
Okay, merci.
De rien.
So do we have any other final questions or comments from anyone joining us today? I think we don't, unless
Yeah,
someone wants to say a final word.
I would
Would
like
like
just
to
to
say.
thank you all, Yasmin, Delphine,
You.
and Sebastian. Always a pleasure working with you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was really very informative.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aida. Thank you, Shireen. I think we're on time, Sebastian. If you
Absolutely.
have anything else to add before we end the meeting, and we end right on time.
Absolutely. No, actually I have nothing to add. In any case, if every one of you have any questions, do not hesitate to get in touch with us. So you have our contact details at the end of this presentation that we'll be sharing with you. So if you have questions, we can answer those questions also offline. So don't hesitate. In any case, the documents that Yasmin has sent you, and the documents we'll be sending you on the 20th of December, they will be extremely complete. So we try to basically answer all questions. But you are free to come back to us and to ask any questions that are still pending.
Great. I think with this, thank you, Sebastian. Thank you very much for a very comprehensive presentation today. And thank you, everyone, for joining the meeting today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, and have a nice day to all.
Bye.
Thank you.